You are listening to the audio production of The Soul of Life, The Piety of John Calvin, introduced and edited by Joel R. Beeke, published by Audiobooks. This book was originally published by Reformation Heritage Books and is read by Graham Geisler. With gratitude to Esther Idelette Beeke, my beautiful, obedient daughter, my avid reader and diligent student, and my efficient employee. You are your Father's delight. Enjoy these selections from the husband of your namesake. Idelette was the God-fearing wife of John Calvin. Soli Deo Gloria. As soon as he, Peter, has made mention of life, he immediately adds godliness, or piety, pietas, as if it were the soul of life. John Calvin, commenting on 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 3. The Life of John Calvin, 1509 to 1564. John Calvin, Jean Calvin, was so self-effacing that he only wrote about himself 3 times in his works. In Reply to Sottoletto, 1539, in the preface to his Commentary on the Psalms, 1557, and on his deathbed to fellow ministers of Geneva, April 28, 1564, which was recorded by Jean Pinat. After Calvin's death on May 27, 1564, friends discovered that Calvin had given orders to be buried without a tombstone. 4 days after his death, the Geneva Register simply wrote, Calvin est allé à Dieu le 27 mai de la présente année. Calvin went to God May 27 of the present year. Shaping this longing for obscurity was Calvin's sincere desire that only God be glorified. In examining Calvin's life and ministry, may we remain true to this driving motif of Calvin's, to promote only God. Early years. Calvin was born on July 10, 1509, in Noyon, Picardy, in northeastern France. The inhabitants of Noyon celebrated in 1551 when a rumor reached their ears that Calvin had died. The following year, after Noyon was destroyed by the Germans, Calvin wrote that he had outlived Noyon. Remarkably, his parents' house was the only structure that remained standing, which Calvin viewed as a miracle. Calvin's parents were Gerard, died 1531, and Jean Calvin, died 1515. Theodore Beza, 1519 to 1605, Calvin's earliest biographer, describes Calvin's parents as widely respected and in comfortable circumstances. Calvin's father expected Calvin to study for the priesthood. So, in 1520 or 1521, young Calvin was sent to Paris to prepare for the priesthood. About 5 years later, Calvin's father sent his son to Orleans to study law for at least 2 reasons. First, having become a successful lawyer himself, Gerard realized that more money could be made in law than in the priesthood. Second, he had become upset with the church when the clergy accused him of wrongfully handling the estate of 2 priests, which ultimately led to his excommunication from the church in 1528. This sudden, dramatic change of professions for young Calvin is noteworthy also for 2 reasons. First, Calvin's legal training fostered in him qualities of mind, clarity, precision, and caution that later served him well as a Bible commentator and theologian. Second, the University of Orleans was where Calvin first came into contact with Reformation truth. One of his tutors was Melchior Wolmar, 1497 to 1560, an evangelical, who began teaching Greek to Calvin, and may well have shared his faith with Calvin. Learning Greek was an important step, for it would open greater riches of the New Testament for Calvin. Conversion. The date of Calvin's conversion is widely disputed.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?